I finally finished pre-Timeskip One Piece. Well, actually, I kind of finished it a while ago. It's just taken me a long time to gather all my thoughts for this video, but I'm still unsure what I'm going to talk about because there's so many things in my brain that I want to talk about, but they're all just scrambled and I can't even put them into words. So I'm going to talk about some secrets that I learned while watching One Piece and put some emphasis on a lot of the bigger arcs. And one thing I want to start off with is how One Piece has so many hidden and dark meanings to it, which I say hidden, but a lot of them in reality aren't hiding at all. They're in plain sight. And by these dark meanings, I just mean what people don't tell you you're getting into when you first start the series. Because I thought I was just getting into your normal show that's kind of kid friendly, which is funny looking back on it now because One Piece is not kid friendly at all. You've got some of the worst things imaginable, like slavery, cannibalism, human trafficking, people experimenting on humans, all this like childhood trauma. It's ridiculous, and I didn't know One Piece had all of this before I started. But even though those are really bad things in real life, that's also kind of what got me hooked into the show even more because it's interesting to watch. I don't know if that sounds bad, but I said it. Now I understand why it's so hard for people to describe One Piece to people who have never watched it before. Because when I used to ask my friends what it's about, they really could only tell me that it's about this kid named Luffy trying to become king of the pirates, which doesn't do it justice because that doesn't sound epic and sound like it's worth watching 1,000+ episodes. And I know that's true because I was that guy. They would tell me that and I'd be like, why would I want to watch that? That sounds dumb. And this is a true story. One of my close friends kept telling me I need to watch One Piece, and I didn't understand why he was so adamant about it because he just kept telling me it was about this little kid. I thought it sounded stupid and it had too many episodes for me to ever watch it, which is very ironic because now I'm here with an entire YouTube channel dedicated to One Piece content. That tells you how much this show has changed my life. My friends used to be the one telling me to watch One Piece, and now I'm the one telling my little brother he needs to watch One Piece. And it's the exact same cycle. He asks what it's about and I'm like, I can't really explain it. There's too much to explain, and if I go into detail, I'll just spoil something in the future. And he doesn't understand how good the show actually is. Now for just a little bit about pre-Timeskip in general, I absolutely loved it. Like, I don't know if it's my favorite anime of all time. I think Attack on Titan might still top it for me, but post-Timeskip could definitely move it into that #1 spot. However, it blows my mind that just one dude has been writing this story, and it also blows my mind how well he has done to just make us fall in love with these characters, the arcs that they go through, and even the ships that they ride. We fall in love with the ship that they're riding. I would consider One Piece like a complete masterpiece. It does have its flaws, just like everything, but even the flaws are something that makes it better. And now that I say that, I can't even like think of an actual flaw. One thing that pops in my head is maybe like some of the inconsistencies throughout the story, but even so, when you think about that, it's just like, that's just One Piece, man. That's how it is. I've already made a video about episodes 1 through 100 and another video about episodes 101 through 200, so I'm not going to go super in depth in those episodes and pretty much that first half of pre-Timeskip. However, I want to talk about some of the bigger arcs, especially like Water 7, Marineford, all of that. For me, Water 7 is when the story actually started to feel like it was getting deep. Sure, you had a little bit before that, like in Alabasta, for example, but in Water 7, Oda took it all to another level. For example, Usopp leaving the crew added emotions that we hadn't felt so far in the series. It was very bizarre seeing him and Luffy fight so seriously like they did. And then on top of that, you have emotions from the CP9 betrayal, that random guy named Frankie, and the sad reality of the going mayor. Water 7 was like a complete emotional roller coaster, and that's what made it so amazing. Then you transition into Enies lobby, which is still kind of on the emotional side, but not as much in my opinion. A lot of people claim it's their favorite arc, but to be honest, I just like the highlights. Everything else is meh. That could be a very hot take, but Enies lobby, in my opinion, was not that great. There's definitely some better arcs, but by highlights, I mean stuff like the I want to live moment. That was just insane. I could not believe it when I first heard it. Like, the voice actor for Robin did an incredible job during that scene because it felt so raw and gut-wrenching, and I had goosebumps listening to it. And then some other highlights are obviously like the fight with Luffy and Lucci. That was a dope fight. And then the Mary coming back to save them one last time. But other than that, I didn't see the crazy hype behind Enies lobby. Sure, it was good, but it's not like peak fiction or even the best written arc in the series. I'm not saying it's bad, but some people hold it to such a high standard, and I just don't understand where that standard is. So let's talk about Thriller Bark for a second. Thriller Bark was weird, man, but it was a good weird. Definitely a change of pace with the scary theme it had. And to be honest, the arc was just different. That's the easiest word to describe it as, different. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but something was just different about the entire arc in general. I don't know if it was how the characters acted or the way they spoke, but it felt so much different from everything else we've seen. I don't know if anyone agrees with me. If you do, please comment below so I don't feel alone in this, but maybe it's just me. But that's about all I have to say about Thriller Bark. It wasn't an amazing arc, but it wasn't a terrible arc either. It was just mid. And then you have Sabaody and Impel down, which are obviously two amazing arcs, and I think I can make multiple videos about each individual arc because there's so many moments in there that deserve their own video. Sabaody just has so much world building, and we learn more about everything in the show pretty much. The introduction of the worst generation, all the marine admirals, the pacifistas, and then you have celestial dragons, a whole slavery auction. That's one thing I wasn't expecting watching this show, was to see an auction where people are being auctioned off. That blew my mind because that was nothing I expected to see. Maybe slavery, but an actual auction for the slavery was not something I expected to see. Then on top of that, you have the Straw Hats disappearing, which I think is the saddest moment in all of pre-Timeskip, because Luffy lost everything on that day. The crew is Luffy's will to live, and when you lose that, it's obviously devastating. And this is the point, I'll be really open here, is when I first shed a few tears to this show. It was watching all the Straw Hats disappear and just seeing how it affected Luffy. To be honest, I don't have a lot to say about Impel Down at the moment, mainly because I think it deserves its own video at some point in the future. But I don't think I can make a video about pre-Timeskip and not mention how clutch my man Bon Clay was. This arc alone put him as one of my favorite characters in the series, and I don't think I'm alone in saying this, because from everything I read, it seems like he's a big fan favorite at this point. And I do hope we see him again at some point, but honestly, I don't know if it's even possible, and we also don't know if he's even still alive. I think he is alive, but I'm just saying, we don't know for sure. Magellan could have done unholy things to that man. Then obviously you have Marineford, which I wish I spoke on it directly after watching, because watching Marineford was an unreal experience. It's taken me a long time to start catching up with One Piece because I don't believe in watching a ton of episodes in a day. I discipline myself to watch 2 to 3 episodes a day max, because personally I think if you watch a lot of episodes in one day, it just jumbles them in your brain and you can't remember like anything specific. And I like to remember specific weird niche things, and that's why I don't like to watch a ton of episodes. And maybe you can watch a lot of episodes, but I can't. However, where I'm getting with this is that with Marineford, I could not discipline myself. All that discipline got thrown out the window. I watched the entire Marineford arc in probably 2 days. Shanks pulling up was an insane moment. We pretty much hadn't seen him since the first like 5 episodes of the series, so it was great to see him again. Obviously, you have all the fights going down, the deaths. I think Marineford was also done almost perfectly, but also I think Marineford could have been an arc that was like 200 episodes long if you wanted to show all the fights. Because of the sheer amount of people and pirates and admirals there were so many fights going on off screen that we missed, and honestly I wish we could have seen all of those fights. I would have been down to watch every single fight. I don't care how long it dragged on, but with how it was animated, it almost seemed like some people were just standing around half the time, not even fighting. But I believe that there was just a lot of off-screen fights going on. But overall, I was taken aback by how dark some of the things got in this show, mainly because I didn't know. People don't tell you that before you start watching the show, and there's just so much content that I could talk about in this video, but let's be real, it would be like an hour long if I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. But I'll most likely make a video about every single arc in the future at some point. But I just want to catch you guys up on where I'm at in the show, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe. Peace.